my story is about when I was 17, my lifelong dream of being a writer skidded to a sudden halt. Instead of going to UC Berkeley, where I was hoping to go to a very liberal college, get away from home, and become the famous writer, my parents wanted me to go to the University of Utah. Well, so that's where I had my scholarship, and so that's where they wanted me to go. So I realized that instead of enjoying this wonderful experience, I was going to be staying at home for 4 more years, commute to campus by bus, and end up going to an institution that was so conservative that it was like going to Sunday school. And so I decided that given these circumstances, my chances of fame and fortune as a writer was definitely decreased. And so I was devastated. So when I discovered that that was going to be the fate of my life, I felt trapped. And I thought about, what can I do to make my dream to be a writer come true? So I thought about it and I came up with a second plan. And my second plan, Plan B, was that I would join the nunnery. Well, kind of similar to that, not quite the same, but it was equivalent to the nunnery when you're a Mormon 17-year-old girl. And what I decided to do was I was going to put my writing career to the side temporarily, and I was going to do this, I was going to transform myself into this selfless service of being a psychiatrist. So when I told my mom that, she said, don't psychiatrists treat crazy people? Like, you're too impatient to be a psychiatrist. Why don't you just be a regular doctor? And my father, when he heard about that, he said, I don't think you're going to be a good psychiatrist because your feelings shows too easily on your face. And plus, you don't like science. And so, because of their lack of enthusiasm for my idea, it actually made the whole idea appeal to me even more. So but it was true, I had no skill, no talent, no interest even in science. But, sacrifices had to be made because this was my first step of a multi-step, decades-long plan, secret plan B, which was I was going to be a psychiatrist so that I could be a better writer. And the secret was, I thought, well, if I can't go to UC Berkeley, if I become a psychiatrist, I would have all these interesting experiences, and then I would have this wealth of wisdom in which I can share, and then that would make me a better writer. So once I had that plan, I was all gung-ho and put my my will and everything into the effort. And my father had called me stubborn plenty of times, but I just redefined the word stubborn to new heights. So the first thing I did was I enrolled in all these pre-med classes, and suddenly I was with these classmates that were so competitive that with getting into med school it was like we were trying to get into the Olympics or something. And just like the Russian athletes, they were not above cheating to increase their scores. And then I found myself in all these biology classes, right, which I found completely boring. But I found myself in these biology classes where, all the names of everything had to be at least 4 syllables long, just to torture me with long hours of memorization. In fact, over time, I developed PTSD with names. Because after med school, for a long time, I couldn't remember anyone's names, not even my own children's. I would sometimes forget, I'll call Jordan Sarah or Sarah Jordan. But, that was part of, the whole thing about, being a psychiatrist. So, anyway, so as I got there, I wanted to give up. But once my Chinese parents thought that they were going to have a doctor in the family, their eyes were like ka-ching, ka-ching. And so every time I came back and said, this is really boring, I want to quit, they would say, don't be a quitter, you got to keep, working hard. So what happened was I didn't study for my MCAT exam, and my scores were mediocre. And part of the problem was I only finished half the test, and I think what happened was that the University of Utah had a shortage of women applicants, so I got in anyways. Medical school was about 100 times worse than pre-med because you got 100 times more questions that you had, tests that you had to do, and 100 times more words you had to memorize. And so I took a piano class during my first year of medical school just to keep sane. I nearly flunked my anatomy class, but I got an A in piano. So what happened was, there was this one student, Phoebe, who had a lisp, and she took my anatomy manual and smeared cadaver grease all over it and told me that I should bring it back next time so we can all share as an anatomy group. And she also was one of these like individuals that would correct you when you say anatomy terms wrong, and she would just have this intense disdain in her voice when she did that. Well, she eventually became a pediatric surgeon, and the reason why I know that is because we ended up graduating on the same day at the Children's National Medical Center, where I was graduating on that day from child psychiatry, and she was graduating as a pediatric surgeon. And I remember her walking up there to get her diploma, and I just remembered what an arrogant, what a narcissistic, arrogant know-it-all she was, and she just kind of ruined my graduation just by being there. But anyways, in the end, what happened was I ended up being a psychiatrist, but I took my creativity and transformed it. So I ended up being a holistic psychiatrist who help people get off their psychiatry medications rather than be on, and help people avoid medications rather than to get on those medications. And in the end, my life ended up helping people with creative freedom by healing their mind. So that's what I did.